So this week on 52 Weeks of Why, I have a friend that was introduced to me by a prior guest on 52 Weeks of Why. And in just our brief conversation setting up for this interview, I can see why, and I'm so happy that you're here. And I'll get into introducing Laura in just a moment. Want to do a very quick quote before we get rolling. And this one comes from Robert Louis Stevenson, that says, "Don't judge each day by the harvest you reap, but by the seeds that you plant." This falls right in line with a lot of my readings on Jim Rohn and John Maxwell. They all talk about planting seeds. In fact, there's a really good children's book that talks about planting seeds of happiness in other people as you travel through your day. Love that. Love helping plant seeds in other people. That goes a lot with the discussion we had in our last podcast about creating a fork in the road for people. A lot of times when people think they're on a one-way street and that person comes along and just plants a little seed that there might be a Y or an intersection coming up, it's amazing how that can change a person's perspective. My guest today is Laura Zavadil. Laura was introduced to me by Caroline Rittenauer. Laura, first, let me thank you for your time. I appreciate you being here.
Yeah, of course. Thanks so much for having me.
So Laura is from my area in the Mahoning Valley in Youngstown, Boardman, Ohio. Born and raised and went to school in Youngstown. She's currently married for 10 years. Congratulations, 10 years is a huge milestone. Yesterday was my wife and I's 11-year anniversary. It's pretty cool to be around other people who've been in relationships for that long and hear their interaction with their spouse and their children. So married to Micah for 10 years, and you have 3 daughters, ages 9, 7, and 5. So you have a 4th grader, a 2nd grader, and a preschooler? Did I do that right?
Third, 2nd, and yeah, TK. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So
busy.
life is very busy.
Busy indeed, but very, very blessed.
Yes, some of the most rewarding and some of the most challenging days of my life have been with my kids.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to talk a little about your journey, because being born and from Youngstown, but then moving away and ending up back in our community after moving away. I mean, the circumstances that brought you back may not have been the best, but it's interesting to me that like me, when I came back, I didn't want to leave. I was content being here. I've built a business here, and I love it here now. And it's so fun to see other people who have left and also come back and now set up camp here as well. So Laura, I know you had a career prior to what you're doing now. Tell us a little bit about that transition out of high school into that career and travel, if you would.
Yeah, so always was a dancer my entire life. Felt that was something I had a special talent for, that I could take it outside of Ohio and do some professional work with it. So right out of high school, I went to YSU for a year just to get a year of college under my belt. During that time, I was traveling back and forth to New York and auditioning. So really my goal for dance was just to get a professional job. I didn't really have anything specific in mind at the time. I just wanted to get my foot in the door. I wanted to experience that world that I felt prepared for. And the world of dance is very disciplined and very energetic, and I just felt ready for it. So just really trying to get my foot in the door. I ended up getting a contract with Tokyo Disneyland. So it was 19. And I didn't really want to go to Tokyo. I mean, I was auditioning for whatever came up just because I wanted the experience, and was really hoping for Disney in Florida, to be honest with you. That would have been a lot closer to home. And Tokyo offered me a job. And of course I had to say yes, because you can't turn down your first dance job. So it was, pretty crazy. My parents were excited but nervous. I was 19, moving to Tokyo, not knowing anybody, not knowing a soul. Just getting on a plane for 13 hours just nervous. And then coincidentally, 3 days after I got there was 9/11. So was a scary time. Yeah. Scary for my family, just not knowing, and that was also pre, obviously Wi-Fi. And, I was able to check my email like maybe once a week or once every other week. And, didn't have the cell phone, didn't have any of that communication that we have now. So,
there was no FaceTime. Yeah. There wasn't the level of text messaging that we have today, especially internationally. And like you said, email you're lucky to check it on the weekends. Boy, that level of disconnectedness, I don't think anyone experiences in the modern world.
No.
At least compared to what you went through there. Okay, so Tokyo must have been amazing. Yeah. Tell us about that experience.
Yeah, Tokyo was great. I mean, I was young and just really into the job itself, which was fine. We were doing a musical theater type show 5 times a day, a 30-minute show 5 times a day, 6 days a week for 10 months. I mean, so after a while, it got a little bit monotonous, and I learned the culture and made many great friends. Looking back, I feel like I didn't experience as much as I should have as far as like traveling. And I mean, we did go to a few different cities. Like I would go with the people I was there with that were in my contract. And some of them had been there before. So they would show, hey, we got to go see these shrines or these historical places. So yeah, I think I did a little bit of that, but I was still very nervous. With like, and it's in Tokyo, the trains don't close, like the bars don't close. Like you could go out all night long, but I was like, oh no, like I'm good. I was nervous, like to really step out of my comfort zone a little bit, but really great experience. Still friends with a couple of the people that I met in that contract. It really satisfied me, personally, just knowing that like, yeah, I want to dance. I want to keep doing this. But I was homesick. I was also homesick. My mom was sick with cancer, and I missed, being close. So I knew I didn't want to go international again, but yeah, it was a really great experience. So then after that, came home, then I moved straight to New York. So that's where I wanted to be. I wanted to audition. I wanted to keep myself in shape. I wanted to keep my foot in the door and see what came next.
So it seems to me that anyone involved in acting or dance or comedy or modeling, if you're on the East Coast, that migration is always come to New York, come to New York, come to New York. And it seems like at a certain level of career, then it's go to LA, go to LA, go to LA. That sounds very logical to me, that coming out of your dance contract that you go to New York seeking another contract, because that's where everybody goes to look for that kind of work. So coming out of that, I think you had another cool dance contract that pulled you out of town again.
Yeah, so right away, I got offered the Radio City Christmas Spectacular. So that was a really great, a bigger production. So that was just during the Christmas season. So a shorter contract. It was in Chicago. So really fun, because my family could all come. My friends would come and see me perform. Obviously, a Christmas show, it's so fun, and like just, it was a really fun contract. And then, but they're just a little bit shorter. So, that was really October through like January. And then ended up getting that contract again the whole next year. That one took me to Nashville. So kind of got to travel a little bit, in the States a little bit more. Again, meeting new people, and in the meantime, auditioning. So, really at that point, I wanted to try to get my foot on Broadway. So that was like my next big goal, and I never quite got there. That's kind of when the whole dance world and the professional, just the entertainment industry, can get really down on you. It's your skin is thick, and you can handle a lot, but sometimes you just you just need a break. So that's kind of where I was. I was really trying to get my foot in the door at 42nd Street. So it was on Broadway at the time. I knew many friends in the show, many friends that you know, were fantastic talent, but I knew that I was just as good. I, you know, could dance circles around some of them, you know, like, so I knew that it wasn't that, but every time it would come down to, you know, my hair color or my shoe size or, you know, she's 1 inch taller than you, and that's what we need, and you're sorry, you know, and it was just, and I'd get call back after call back after call back. I'd be home in Ohio, and I get a call that says, can you be here tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock? Because the producer wants to see you again. And I'm like, yeah. And I get in the car and go and drive overnight to this callback. And I mean, multiple times, but it never got me the job. And at some point after months of that, I just said, I'm done because it's hard. And I needed a break.
The traditional employee, I mean, even an analogy of saying, imagine you're applying for a job, not even your dream job, but a job in your career that you've graduated for. And they bring you in and do a application, and then they bring you back and do another application, and then they bring you back and you do another application and another interview and another interview. And imagine going through 5 or 6 of those interview processes. And at the end of it, being given a list of all the things that are wrong with you, why they didn't hire you. I only know this because I had friends previously who were in dance, and they just said that what they remember out of that is always the list of not good enoughs. That was always the takeaway, was the list of not good enoughs. And after how many jobs of getting the list of not good enoughs, it was very, like you said, you have to be very thick-skinned. You have to be very comfortable with yourself and confident in yourself.
Yeah.
But about that same time, I think there was also a circumstance at home that brought you back home. So your frustration had had peaked with the career path that you were going down. And what else happened that brought you home?
Yeah, so my mom was getting worse. She was sick with cancer for many years, and her and I were really, really close. And I just felt it was time for me to be home and, you know, maybe finish school. So that's kind of when I got into dietetics and at YSU, and I decided just to, you know, it's time to finish, get my degree. I needed a break from the dance world anyhow. It was great. It taught me a lot, but I needed to kind of shift focus a little bit. So my mom needed me home. I wanted to get my degree out of the way, and I fell into dietetics. So obviously growing up in the dance world and that nutrition and eating well and staying in shape are all such a huge part of that world. That really led my interest into nutrition because I felt like I learned a lot as it was. And then seeing my mom and how nutrition and her health were so directly impacted with her cancer diagnosis and how she felt on a daily basis with what she was eating, that really sparked a huge interest in me too, and wanting to study that at school. So those two things kind of led me to that. And so finished my degree. I got into the dietetics program, a highly competitive coordinated program with the internship and everything that I needed so that when I was done with school, I can sit to take my test to become a registered dietitian. So I actually, my mom passed away 13 years ago today, actually, and my test was scheduled for that following week for me to actually sit and take my test of the same year that she passed. Yeah. And it was just like everything was happening at once. And a month before that had got hired for my first job. So they hired me with the, your test is coming up and you're probably going to pass and it's fine. So I had my first real job, not, entertainment job, my first real job. Then a month later, my mom died. And then a week later, I'm supposed to take the test. It was just a mess.
Hold on, I have a question for you. So
yeah.
Was your husband with you at that point in time?
Yeah, we were together. Not married. Were we married yet? No, not married yet. But yeah, we were together for sure. Yep. So I met him during my time in school. So he came along post the dance world life.
Yeah, I asked that only because I just can't imagine going through that series of events. I mean, obviously coming out of being a dancer, thick-skinned is an understatement, but I can't imagine, no matter how thick-skinned you are, graduating, getting the job, what happened with mom, and how cool that you get to talk about this in honor of her 13 years later. And then go right to, so did you take the test? Did you pass?
So yeah, I ended up pushing it back another month or something just because I needed a minute. But yeah, so I passed and it was great. And you know, it got me on my next journey there. So started my next job was at in Newcastle in Western PA, and I was in the schools, and I always loved kids. I always taught dance as a kid myself. So this was with K through 12 kids, teaching them about the importance of nutrition and how to eat healthy, and just making it fun and exciting, which is right up my alley. So I had a great first job experience there for about 5 years before I moved on to working at home when my kids were little. So just, you know, shifted a little bit, but a great experience.
Yeah, and I think also something that we talked about before we were recording is the lifestyle of the actor, model, dancer, looking for gigs in New York City and in LA, unfortunately lends itself to body image, which can lead to bad diet habits.
Right.
Do you think that that's something, on top of the situation with mom, do you think that that's something that is also a reason that pushed you into nutrition and diet?
Yeah, I definitely dabbled, I think, with some eating issues for sure. I mean, there's no dancer that hasn't thought of themselves, you know, when they're in a room of mirrors and bodysuits. And yeah, I mean, it's really hard being being a female in that industry is tough, especially when they say, oh, you know, you could be a size 2, but you're a size 4, so sorry. Yeah, I definitely dabbled in that. I wasn't, I think with my mom, I think I took it into a healthier, you know, it could have gone 2 ways where, you know, you're doing the extreme things and you're, you know, going the wrong way down the path. But I think my mom taught me to take it into that healthy. So why don't we learn about like eating healthy, and here's how we can do this together and that kind of stuff. So, but yeah, I've definitely seen a world of really crazy bad dietary habits, and that it really taught me a lot that you don't have to do those things in order to be healthy. And what does that even mean? And why does the size not matter? It really, I think I got a full picture of all that, seeing what I've seen in the dance industry.
Yeah, thanks so much for sharing that. As a father of daughters, and I'm sure you can relate as a mother of daughters, this is in our future, in our interaction with our daughters. And I'm always aware of when I hear something that needs to be logged somewhere in my memory banks for a time in the future when I will need to pull that out again to share with my daughters, because unfortunately we live in this society where there are certain expectations that are applied, that are, of course, in the dancing world, even more pressure applied. Thanks so much for sharing that story. Now, I'm dying to know, and I'm so curious to hear now, after hearing all of these things, what is your why?
Well, that's a good question. So I guess just those experiences and learning the importance of fitness and learning the importance of nutrition. I guess I would say my why is sharing that. I want people to learn that it's not a one-size-fits-all type of thing. So when people come to me for nutrition advice, I don't typically always say the same thing to everybody, because everybody's a little bit different and have different needs. Same thing with fitness. I want people to appreciate the importance of taking care of themselves, just as I've learned to do that, and just as I share that with my family. And I feel that once people appreciate that, and maybe my why is that I'm providing that outlet for them to learn, you know, that fitness, it doesn't have to kill you to make you stronger. Fitness doesn't have to be, you know, throwing tires around and running marathons till your body is broken. It can be safe and effective, and it can be fun. And same thing with eating well. It doesn't have to be complicated with the keto diet and the intermittent fasting and all these crazy fads that people want to follow. It doesn't need to be that complicated. But once we find that people catch on to that and see and appreciate it, that's when I feel most satisfied, because I feel that I was a part of exploring that with them. You know, I do group classes at the fitness studio, and, you know, it doesn't always mean that I'm working with somebody one-on-one, but when I see them, you know, do something that they weren't able to do just last month, it's, you know, it's really satisfying to me, because I know that they're growing too. And then I see them coming back, and I see them, hey, this is my life now, like MBYO for life. Like, we're not, you know, I can't imagine my life without you, you know, and that's like crazy. But so I think it's just, you know, my why is that I like to share that with people. And I guess selfishly, I like that feeling, knowing that I was providing that opportunity for them.
It's so cool. I want to see if I can unpack this into a sentence or two based on everything that you just said. And I'm going to summarize it a little bit just to make sure that I got it right. So I like that it's not a one-size-fits-all formula. I like that your mission is to help people become a better version of themselves through diet and fitness. How did I do?
Yeah.
Was that a good?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
And I think that, you know, I don't think that reaping the benefit of being a life changer or a difference maker is selfish. I think that the reward that you get from seeing people improve and seeing that you are making a difference, that's planting a seed and reaping the harvest of the seed, right? And this is it's kind of a natural transition in life. If you plant the seed, again, I'll quote a Jim Rohn quote again, but he said, imagine if we were responsible for growing the tree. We don't have to worry about any of that. We don't have to worry about how the tree grows. We don't have to worry about where the branches go and how many leaves go on each branch. We don't have to worry about it. All we have to do is be responsible for taking a seed and planting it and watering it and nurturing it. And what happens after that is miraculous, right? And it's the same with what you do with people's personalities, with their lives, with their hearts, with their fitness. That harvest that comes after you've planted a seed is the reward, is the benefit that you get. So if we go back to like you as a teenager thinking about dance and going into dance, were you at that point in time being a difference maker to the other people that were around you in contract? Were you politely correcting their bad dietary or nutritional or fitness habits? Or is this something that developed as a result of mom passing? Or is this something, kind of go back to, has this always been your why? Or have there been transitions of the why through your life?
Definitely transitions. I think back as a teenager, I had no clue. I knew I liked, I never had a confidence problem. I always liked being the center of attention. So that's kind of like that's where I was comfortable in the dance world, front and center. I was always never really nervous about that kind of stuff. So not nervous about putting myself out there, taking risks, those kind of things. I think it led me into my why. But at that point, I don't think I really knew. I think that came as a development of just all the events of life, you know. And I didn't even, you know, you don't even set out to, I wasn't set out to open a business. I wasn't set out to make my living off of teaching fitness classes. That wasn't even like what I didn't even know, you know, it just kind of fell into that, you know, over the years at how it developed. And I set my goals are even way beyond that now. So I don't even know how to translate that, but I see that this is just like a very first stepping stone of what I would like to see happen. And my why would probably change many times throughout that, but yeah, definitely I didn't know as a kid. I don't think I had any clue.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that I've interviewed and spoken to that had that phase of their life when they were in their teens or their early 20s, where their why was just having fun, right? It wasn't anything more profound or more complicated than that. That was just it, right? And It's interesting how that changes as you progress through the years. So this why, obviously it's a part of your, excuse me, your day-to-day career. And your day-to-day interactions with people. Is this why? Is it a part of a morning routine or a morning mindset? Is it something that you actively engage with every single day? Or is it more something that's just kind of hovering in the background that keeps you motivated as you go through your months and your years?
Oh, it's definitely day-to-day. I mean, when I walk into the studio and I see people that I've seen lose weight, or I've been with them throughout this journey, or I've seen their kid grow up, because moms can bring their kids to our studio while they work out, and we have babysitters here. And these people are, they're not just a person, excuse me, they're not just a person that walks through the door. These people are like my people now. And so on a daily basis, I'm reminded of my why, and that's crazy. Like, I'm crazy blessed to see that. Are there days that I don't feel like I'm on all the time? And do I feel like being the motivator every single day? No, and sometimes that's when the dancer in me has to come out and just put it on a little bit, because maybe I'm having a bad day, or maybe I need to be motivated and I want to go get that from somebody else. That's certainly probably the biggest challenge I have on a day-to-day basis, is just always being on and being there for other people when sometimes I need somebody to be there for me too, but I have an amazing group of team members, instructors in this community, and I can always count on them for that motivation when I need it myself. So I become the student then and take class from somebody, and then I walk out of there being like, this is the best thing ever, I feel amazing, and this is all I needed. So we give and take in that respect. But yeah, I'm reminded of it every day. I think another aspect to my why now is, as my kids growing up, seeing how I want to create a legacy for them. I want to create something that they know I put my blood, sweat, and tears into on a day-to-day basis. And I want them to have that appreciation for health and wellness ingrained in them. So I feel like when I grew up, it was the same thing. I remember sitting at the back of a gym watching my mother do step aerobics as, a 9-year-old coloring pictures to pass the time. And growing up in that kind of, that house where it was valued. I want my kids to, so now I'm starting to see the importance of that with my kids, and how I talk about myself. If, I don't look good in this dress, how the words that come out of my mouth, the positivity, and how I feed them, and how we try to live our lifestyle so that it's ingraining that stuff into them as well, in a realistic way. We're not always going to be perfect either. So.
No, I think it's really neat how you talk about the being a part of your morning routine, and not always being on your A game, and allowing other people the opportunity to fill you up, just as you take the time to fill other people up, and how that act of you taking the initiative to help other people and help them be a better version of themselves. Surely you can't help but pass that along to your children, and that why that is to serve other people and help them. It has an impact whether you articulate it to your children or not, as you said, right? When you watch mom, they watch you, mom, do these things, and inevitably it's going to be a part of what they experience and what they understand as they get older. before we wrap up. You did a great job of wrapping us up a minute ago, but any final thoughts, anything that we didn't touch on that you'd like to state, or are we good?
Yeah, no, I think it was great. Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you for being here. I think your story is profound in so many ways, of having gone through what you went through in the dance world and traveling and then coming home and setting up home base here. So tell us, the name of your business in Youngstown is what?
Yeah, it's called Mega Barre Youngstown, and it's a fitness studio for all ages, all levels, male, female, and then of course I do my nutrition coaching here as well.
And then I think your involvement with Caroline was directly with YoFresh and assisting them with their menu and kind of detailing out the nutritional values of their menu as well, right?
Yeah, so love having my hand in the nutrition side of it deeper with YoFresh. It gives me that opportunity to really dive into recipes and to help them make things healthier. And then we serve the community so much more outside of just my own community in the dance or in the fitness studio here. So yeah, it's great. It's the best of both worlds for me.
Awesome. Thanks so much for being here. I appreciate your time, and thank you for sharing your why.
All right. Thank you so much.